And I titled this, What the World Wants to Steal from You. Judges 9, verse 7. And when they told it to Jotham, now Jotham is, the name is supposed to mean God is perfect, or Jehovah is perfect, or something like that. He went out and stood in the top of the Mount Gerizim, and lifted up his voice, and cried, and said unto them, Hearken unto me, ye men of Shechem, that God may hearken unto you. The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them, and they said unto the olive tree, Reign thou over us. But the olive tree said unto them, Where will I get my breadstick? No, different olive tree. No, that's Olive Garden. Okay. Okay, now I lost my place. Reign thou over us. Verse 9. But the olive tree said unto them, Should I leave my fatness wherewith by me they honor God and man, and go be promoted over the trees? And the trees said to the fig tree, Come thou, reign over us. But the fig tree said unto them, Should I forsake my sweetness and my good fruit, and go to be promoted over the trees? Then said the trees unto the vine, Come thou, reign over us. And the vine said unto them, Should I leave my wine wherewith cheereth God and man, and go be promoted over the trees? Then said all the trees unto the bramble, Come thou and reign over us. And the bramble said unto the trees, If in truth ye anoint me king over you, then come and put your trust in my shadow. And if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. He's a nice guy, isn't he? If you really like me, then you better sign up right now, or I'm going to kill you all. Wow, great guy. Verse 8 says, The trees went forth on a time to anoint a king over them, and they said unto the olive tree, Reign thou over us. You don't hear that often. People going up saying, I want you to be my boss. Now, I think it's just as sarcastic as what you hear nowadays a lot of. Well, I don't know, I've not heard it so much anymore. Is there was, for a while, the fad was you need an accountability partner. If you're not going to be accountable to God, you're not going to be accountable to a man. Now, here's what they'll say. Be my accountability partner until you hold me accountable, and then I'll go find another one. If the God of heaven can't make you accountable, no man on earth is going to. That's what these guys, these goons, the trees are saying. We've got a good position for you. Now, who's doing the anointing? The trees are. They're appointing him, therefore they can take him down. The way it's supposed to work is God anoints the king, doesn't ask you any questions about it. The first thing I'll notice is what the world wants to steal from you is they want to take your abundance and trade it for a title. That's the thing they do with young people. When you get a job, and rather than give you pay, they'll give you a title. I remember being on the car lot, and somebody was filling out his paperwork, and I was all excited. I was new. I didn't know anything. This guy told me he was an engineer, sanitary engineer or something like that. I didn't know what that meant. So I was all excited. I went to my manager and said, we got a good one here. He's the sanitary engineer. He said, you know what that is, don't you? I said, no. He said, that's a garbage man. So, okay. Words, titles. They're just there to fool you many times. That's what the trees are doing. The trees are offering a title. But this tree is smart enough to realize they're trying to trade him a title for what he already has. He has abundance. Look at it in verse 9. He says, Should I leave my fatness, wherewith by me they honor God and man, and go be promoted over the trees? If you're not fat, you ain't cheering God and man. In the Bible, fatness is usually a reference to a good thing. You have abundance. It's the skinny people who didn't have enough to eat. They didn't choose to be skinny. They had no choice. There wasn't anything to put in their mouth. Now, all over the world, it's that way. Only in America do we have 25 meals a day, and it's more than you can eat in one sitting anyway. Here's something I'll read to you. Every time somebody calls me fat, I get so depressed, I cut myself a new piece of cake. Ask not what you can do for your country, ask what's for lunch. That's America's. We care about the next meal. We care about things that don't matter. This fatness that he's referring to here is something that matters. It cheers God and man. Now, many times you can't cheer man and you can only cheer God. Well, then do that one. However, if you can do both, do it. You're not more spiritual because you made everybody mad at you. Many times it's the opposite. That was sin. Look at Leviticus 2. Leviticus 2, verse 1. The Bible has a different way of speaking. Until you get used to it, you might question some of these words it uses. Leviticus 2, verse 1. And when any will offer a, what's this? Meat offering unto the Lord. His offering shall be filet mignon, no, fine flour. And he shall pour oil on it and put frankincense thereon. That's not what I call meat. This is the way the Bible uses it. When you eat, you're sitting there usually in a group to eat. So it's meat. You all met together and did eat. Psalm 89. Psalm 89. This olive tree usually is the picture here is they're always going to anoint someone with it. So when God's getting him a king, it's the olive that's going to produce the fluid they use, the olive oil to anoint the king. Psalm 89, verse 20, he says, I have found David my servant, with my holy oil have I anointed him. That's good, that's God. Now, no wonder the olive tree says, I think I've got a better job than what you're offering. God uses me when he wants to pick him a good king. I think I'd stick with the job too. Psalm 92, verse 13. Psalm 92, verse 13. Olive tree knows something else. He's got a good future. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing. They're going to have abundance, plenty. God's going to take care of them, good care. Usually when we say God's going to take care of us, we mean we're going to be able to survive. Only Americans have a different idea of what surviving is than the rest of the world. Look at Proverbs 13, verse 4. I can't talk. Proverbs 13, 4. The soul of the sluggard desireth and hath nothing, but the soul of the diligent shall be made fat. Now, Americans especially ought to memorize that verse. Somebody starts talking to you about losing weight, say, look, if it's the sluggard, you must be a sluggard if you're skinny. He says the soul of the sluggard desires and has nothing, but the soul of the diligent, the one who's working hard, is going to be a fatty. Shall be made fat because he's working to get an increase. Proverbs 15, verse 30. He says, the light of the eyes rejoiceth the heart, and a good report maketh the bones fat. Okay, what does he mean by all that? The light of the eye rejoiceth the heart. Now, he said that the tree here claims, I'm making both God and man happy and cheerful. How does he do that? This is one way he does it, and you'll meet people like this. The light of the eye. Some people smile with their eyes. When they smile, you can feel it come through their eyes. There's something more than just a facial expression. You can see some people smile and it's a dead look. It's just a painted on pose. Here he's saying the light of the eye rejoices the heart. It's infectious. He says a good report makes the bones fat. So all of our cats got fat bones. The big bones. We had somebody who was mad because I called their cat fat. Tuxie. Amy said, no, he's not fat. He's got big bones. Something like that. Yeah. Proverbs 28, verse 25. Proverbs 28, verse 25. He that is of a proud heart stirreth up strife, but he that putteth his trust in the Lord shall be made fat. You know, I know that he's not really talking about you being fat because you're gorging yourself and you being obese and that type of thing, but he's saying that you've got plenty. However, it is still fat. Americans have gotten so self-conscious that maybe God's trying to make them fat and they're refusing it. Now, I mean, not obese, but to be healthy. That's a blessing of God, not a curse. Isaiah 34. Isaiah 34, verse 6. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of the lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. Now, sometimes fat is from laziness. Here, these people have gotten fat, but it's not something the Lord has given them. That's not what's going on with this tree. The olive tree says, no, I'm getting my abundance from God, and I'm giving back both to God and man, and it makes them both happy. Why would I leave that position? Think about it. If you could look in God's face, and one day you will, and it puts a smile on his face, wouldn't that be something? That's what that tree is saying. I know that God smiles when I'm there. Therefore, I'm not leaving that spot. Good idea. Acts 10. Acts 10, verse 38. Here's all of that Old Testament typology being fulfilled right here. Acts 10, 38. How God anointed Jesus of Nazareth, not with a tree, not with some oil of some kind, with the Holy Ghost and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for God was with him. Now, if you want to be a Christian like Christ, then should be something you're striving for. Go about doing good. We should be goody two-shoes. We really should. There's no reason that Christians shouldn't be considered the most humanitarian of all the people. That's what Jesus was. He went around doing good. Now, I'm not saying that you trade being good for giving truth. You can do both. Jesus did. That's right. He says, and healing those that were oppressed of the devil. Now, if you're just healing oppression by smooth, soft words, the devil's not scared of that. It requires truth to confront the devil. He says, for God was with him. Now, they wanted him to forsake his abundance and wear a title around. He said, no doing. I got something better than your title. You can keep it. The next thing we'll see is in verse 11. They want him to forsake his innocence for unnecessary responsibility. Though I had a job one time where they wanted me to take the big title, and with that big title also came a bunch of responsibility. I wrote him a big long letter. I said, I don't mind the extra responsibility, but it should be padding my pocket. wasn't there long. They want him to forsake his innocence in order to take on responsibility that he doesn't need to have. Verse 9, but the fig said unto them, should I forsake my sweetness and my good fruit and go to be promoted over the trees? I think not. The secret to success is sincerity. Once you can fake that, you got it made. Now, there should be a sweetness about you, but there should be an innocence about Christians. You don't need to know everything about all the wickedness that's out there. You'll know plenty of it on accident. Don't have to investigate on purpose. Be wise concerning righteousness and be an idiot on the other side. When we're children, we seldom think of the future. This innocence leaves us free to enjoy ourselves as few adults can. That's the thing about a child. I would not want to be a child, but I might like a few days of the reprieve of no responsibility. Everybody else taking care of me. Now, that's an innocent state. The day we fret about the future is the day we leave childhood behind. As a Christian, you don't have to fret about the future, even though the flesh tells us we do. Grow up? No, as a Christian, I don't have to. I'm a child of God. Nowhere in the Bible does it say I'm an adult of God. There's an innocence to a Christian. A teacher asked, why were the early days of history called the Dark Ages? Joe answered, because there were so many nights. That's innocent, children. They're just going to give you clear instruction and answer. When you read your Bible, you figure out if I'm telling you the truth or not. I think I am. I take it for every word it says, right where it says it, the way it said it. Unless the Bible itself told me to take it figurative, I'm going to take it literal. I think you start getting in trouble. You lose your innocence when you start telling the Bible what it meant. We've got a class of Christians who have become so educated they're smarter than the words on the page of a Bible. That's dangerous. They've lost their innocence as Christians. Adam and Eve gained knowledge in the garden, but their knowledge did not give them any wisdom in what to do once they had a problem. So just getting education ain't the answer. Exodus 15. Exodus 15, verse 25. Now, in the last days, which we're right on the precipice of, the natural affection has gone out the window. And just the normal sweetness that humans have is gone. I was thinking about this the other day. I think about some weird stuff, I know. My latest kick has been to watch the prides in Africa and all the different places of the jungle where all the lions get together. And they all have little personalities, and they communicate some way. I don't know how. But I was noticing, they're a lot like humans. There's a lot of analogies you can draw. But there's one thing you can't get out of an animal that you can get out of a human. All of the facial expressions. God made us to be able to smile and have expressions. If he wanted you to walk around with a frown all the time, he'd have made you like the animal. The animal's got one look, basically. I mean, he can be his normal self, or he can be growling. A lot of people like that. As the time gets closer and closer toward the end, he says the hearts are going to wax cold. No sweetness. It's gone. Exodus 15, verse 25. And he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree, the waters bitter, which when he had cast into the waters were made sweet. And there he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them. Sometimes if you don't feel so sweet, this is a weird message, isn't it? Sometimes if you're not feeling so sweet, maybe go visit the cross for a while. Find out what's been done for you. That'll give you some thankfulness, and it'll sweeten up your attitude. It should. That'll throw that tree right in your water and see if it doesn't sweeten some things up. Nehemiah 8, verse 10. He asked them to do something here that this is tough for me. I have weird taste buds, I know. I like my food just a millisecond before it burns. I like it good and crispy. Nehemiah 8, verse 10. Yeah. Then he said unto them, Go your way, eat the fat. Eat fat? Really? He says, Eat the fat, and drink the sweet, and send portions unto them for whom nothing is prepared. For this day is holy unto our Lord. Neither be ye sorrowful, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Now, he says right there, do something for somebody else. That's good. That'll make you sweet. You would think that receiving makes you happy. And, if you realize that it's from God, not from man, then yes, it does. But usually just on a human level, you can watch it at Christmas. Look at what the kids do. They receive more junk to add with the other pile of junk they got last year. And after 5 minutes, they're bored. And they've forgotten about the junk they just opened. Just receiving stuff isn't good enough for man. However, if you'll get into the giving makes you happy. It blesses the giver many times more than the receiver. He's telling them to do this right here. That sometimes will make a man sweet. If you've gotten a bad attitude, we're humans. We just wake up on the wrong side of the bed sometimes. I can only get out of the bed one way. No, I guess I could roll off the end. One of the things you can do is go find somebody to help. That sweetens you up. Even though you're doing it for them, it backfires and you get something out of it. This is a beneficial boomerang. Look at it in Proverbs 16. Proverbs 16, verse 24. I'm going to show you how I take this as literal. He says, Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. That is, there's some medicinal benefit to a honeycomb. You can chew on the honeycomb and you get health benefits from it. He says, well, if you understand that, you should also understand this. Pleasant words are the same way. So the things you hear affect your body. If you're around a bunch of grumpy people, you probably notice they're all frail and they've got a bunch of health issues and it's nonstop. I remember hearing a story about somebody who had cancer or something, and they said there was nothing they could do. It was as far as they could do. So he just ordered in a bunch of comedies and he sat around and watched stuff that were happy and cheerful all the time. And before long, he got better. Wow. Sometimes that's what you need. You need a change of latitude to get your attitude right. Find something that's not so serious and solemn all the time. Pleasant words. Isaiah 43, verse 24. This is God complaining. We need to perk up if he starts complaining. Isaiah 43, verse 24. He says, Thou hast brought me no sweet cane with money, neither hast thou filled me with the fat of thy sacrifices, but thou hast made me to serve with thy sins. Thou hast wearied me with with thine iniquity. Now, notice two things he was complaining about. Think back to the Old Testament offerings. How many of them do you recall saying, for this offense, you bring sweet cane? 0, it's not there. You remember what the law for money is in the Old Testament as far as a gift? It's if you're going it's if you give it as a free will offering, you can give anything you want. However, if you're going to redeem what you should have tithed on and give them money instead, so you had a low herd this year, and rather than take this lamb in, you can redeem it. He says, but you have to add the fifth part there too. So if you're going to sell it, if you're going to give money instead of giving the animal, you have to add the fifth part. So it's no longer 10%, it's now 15 or whatever that works out to. So he says, you didn't bring me any money. That wasn't required. Well, neither was sweet cane. He says, well, you do it for yourself. He says, what you like, I probably do too. Pass it on. Wow. Now, this is where I got my little theory that I come up with. If you don't have anything special you can do for God, do this sometime. Whatever your treat for the day is. If you like some peanut M&Ms or whatever it is that you like during the day and you reward yourself with, give it up. Forego it for him. Tell him, I'm not getting them today. You go have them. That's yours. What you like, according to this verse right here, he wants. Forego it for him. Give him a gift. Now, that'll make you happy. It doesn't make any sense that'd make you happy, but it will. It'll make you sweet. Luke chapter 13. Luke chapter 13, verse 6. He spake also this parable. Now, this is a parable on top of a parable. Jotham has been giving us a parable in Judges, and now Jesus is going to give us a parable about a tree, same tree. He spake also this parable. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought fruit thereon and found none. Drop down to verse 7. Then said he unto the dresser of the vineyard, behold, these 3 years, that's important, I come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Cut it down. Why cumbereth it the ground? Now, I don't know if I've heard anybody connect these two, but the parable that we're reading in Judges chapter 9, we don't have time to get to this part tonight, but what's going to happen is Abimelech is going to be able to continue with his craziness before God judges him. God judges him 3 years later, just like this. And the parable deals with a fig tree. Jesus says, I'll talk to you about a fig tree. It took 3 years. After 3 years, I chop it down. And that's the end that's going to be for Abimelech. Revelation 10. Revelation 10, verse 9. Now we're talking about being sweet. Not a real good Bible believer message, but that's right. Revelation 10, verse 9. And I went unto the angel and said unto him, give me the little book. And he said unto me, take it and eat it up, and it shall make thy belly bitter, but it shall be in thy mouth sweet as honey. That's true. When you read the Bible and God starts speaking to you, it makes you happy. Then you live your day and you start realizing, oh, that was because I was going to mess up right here and because I was going to face this one right here. That's okay. Go eat some more. Get some sweet. The trees. We're back to our passage in Judges chapter 9. Judges 9, verse 13. We've seen the offer was this: forsake your abundance for a title, Forsake your innocence for unnecessary responsibility, and now it's forsake your favor for constant competition. What this world is a rat race. I don't know how the world makes it. Everything's on them. God is my provider and protector. I couldn't do it. I couldn't be a heathen. I'm just sorry. I'm not qualified. I'm too big a baby. Judges 9, verse 13. And the vine said unto them, Should I leave my wine, which cheereth God and man, and go be promoted over the trees? He says, I don't need to be over the trees. You're trying to offer this same position to everybody. Now, the question was not asked. If I was the tree, I would have asked this. What ranking position did you give me? How many other people did you ask before you came to me? That's what's going on. It's a constant competition. They're the ones appointing him. Therefore, if they're not happy with him, out he goes. It's a constant rat race. That's this world. We get in 2 Samuel 16. 2 Samuel 16, verse 2. And the king said unto Ziba, What meanest thou by these? David's coming back from defeating Absalom. And Ziba said, These asses be for the king's house to ride on, and the bread and the summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine, that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. The vine tree knew something that the men didn't know around him. That is, there's something that I have that helps those that are faint. Now, you should know what your position is. Notice the trees all knew what benefit they had, what was good for them. They weren't guessing. They knew exactly what they were supposed to do and what the benefit for it was. As a Christian, you've got a job to do. You've got something God's given you that's unique, and you should know it. Now, I'm not saying it's simple to find out, but if you don't know, go ask him and work on it a while. Because just like the tree, somebody's going to come up and offer to trade you for whatever it is God's made your gift. He says in Isaiah 55, Isaiah 55, verse 1, it's good to have somebody who can encourage you. And if you're faint in the wilderness, you're walking through the wilderness right now, and sometimes we do get faint. You need that vine tree. Isaiah 55, verse 1, Ho, every one that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, how did he know I was here? Come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come and buy wine and milk without money and without price. How do you buy it if you ain't got no money? It's a free market. Take it if you want it. Now, a lot of people won't take free when it's from God. They'll take it when the devil offers it to them. But God's offering them something. Men won't come to God to get free. I'll tell you something that's free: salvation. And that's the best gift any man could ever be confronted with. Amen. And many won't accept it, and it's free. The devil offers them something that's feigning and fleeting, popularity, fame, money, whatever it is, and they'll gobble that up all day long. Look at Matthew 26. Matthew 26, verse 27, Jesus' ministry, Last Supper. Matthew 26, 27. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until the day that I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. Now that tells you what the wine was. It's the fruit of the vine. It's not alcoholic. They claim that there's some, you got to watch this. If you're watching one of these drug commercials, you'll see them on TV, and they'll tell you, 2 seconds of what the benefit is, and then 4 minutes of all possible side effects. Okay, that's what they've done with wine. They've said wine is good for you. It does this or it does that. What they don't tell you about is the side effects. They don't show you the families that are busted up and the winos that are in the street, in the gutter bombs. They don't show you that, but that is a side effect. Now, they could have gotten to it when it was good, the fruit of the vine, and drink that, and there is some medicinal health benefits from it, according to the Bible. Now, those are the trees. These trees knew what they were supposed to do when they were doing it, and they weren't taking anybody else's trade. They weren't going to trade in what God had given them naturally. In conclusion, look at Hebrews 13. Hebrews 13, verse 5. If you get this verse down, you'll be hard to be deceived. Hebrews 13, verse 5. Let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he said, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. What is it you have? You have him. He said, I'll never leave. Be content with what you got. Okay, I think you can be content with that. The Almighty, the Creator of the universe. Yeah, I'd say you can be content with that. But the flesh won't. He'll fight it. He says, let your conversation be without covetousness. That's a tough one. That means that as you just speak, the mouth has its own mind. And before long, it starts talking about coveting things, even though you're a perfect man. You would never do that. But that mouth sure will. Got to be careful with it. He says right here, be content with such things as you have. I know it's tough to get this one down when you're young because you've not seen much. So you think, okay, if I could have that, or I really need that. After you've lived a little while, you realize God's replaced my house, 15 times the contents of my house. We moved down here in a hatchback. and then we moved into several places and filled them up immediately as soon as we moved in. That's just junk that God's refilled all the time. You can be content with what you have, knowing that He's got you. He says, I'm with you always. Therefore, He's not doing without. You think God's poor? Okay. If He's always with you, you ain't got no problem. Look in 1 Corinthians 1. 1 Corinthians 1, verse 26. It won't be long until you find yourself on this list, coveting to be one of these things. 1 Corinthians 1, verse 26. For you see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. So if you're lamenting that you're not one of those categories, cheer up. That's not who God calls. You're special. Verse 27, but God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. God hath chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty. Look at it, verse 31. 1 Corinthians 1:31, that according as it is written, he that glorieth, let him glory in the Lord. Because He's always with you. That is, you've always got something you can glory in. Now, it's sometimes hard to see it because the flesh gets right in the way. Revelation 3. Revelation 3, verse 11. He says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Now, that's something that you've got. God's given you something that's unique for you, just like He did all the trees. Those trees were offered something in return. The devil wants to steal what you got. He wants to give you a bad trade. Don't take any NAFTA trade deals. That's what the devil offers. One point made in the parable, one point not made in the parable, yet in our chapter is going to become brutally apparent, is this. At the end of the chapter, the pecking order of the trees is never identified. They didn't say, none of the trees says, I'm the most important. He just simply said, I have a position. None of them prioritized themselves over the other trees. They all had something they knew was good and God-given, but they didn't say it's better than the hand or the foot or the eye or the whatever. That's Christians. We all have something special from God for us, and it's not any better or worse than your neighbor's. Many times the devil lies to us about that. You're not as important as, Billy Graham. See where he is. He's gone. When this is the other thing that's not mentioned. These guys come in, and the idea is this: we're going to appoint someone to be the king. And so we're really the king committee, I guess. We're coming in, and which one of you trees want to volunteer to, take the shackles and be the king? What they're ignoring is this: the whole farm is owned by somebody else. God owns all the trees. And so they're doing exactly what the devil does these days. He's the God of this world because he's a liar and a deceiver. It's not his. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, not the devil's. And that's what's going on in the parables. They're trying to sell them something they don't have. That's squatters. They're having a problem with that. I think in Georgia was the last I heard. Yeah, somebody was telling me about it, where they can come in, they can squat in your house, and then you can't ever get rid of them, and they sell all your stuff and tear your house up. That's what the devil's done down here on this earth. Don't give in to him, and you don't have to serve him. All right, that's the trees, and we'll get on to what happens to Abimelech and Shechem later.